Coming up here on the show, the 49ers have signed another defensive end. Rookies taking advantage of their opportunities so far throughout Niners training camp. And 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey looks fantastic. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Let's start off with the most recent roster move for the Niners. They have been busy throughout the first couple of weeks of training camp here. According to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, the Niners are signing defensive end Jaylon Allen this morning. The former edge rusher with the UFL's Memphis Showboats gets a shot. Of course, with that, you know he has a background playing in the UFL. Here's some more information on Jaylon Allen, who is an intriguing player because of his athletic traits, his ability to win with a bull rush. He signed with the Denver Broncos as a UDFA after a nice career at Memphis following the 2024 NFL Draft. Then he was waived with an injury settlement. He was a second-team American Athletic Conference player while at Memphis and had about 150 tackles throughout his college career. Played, of course, this past year at the UFL level with the Memphis Showboats, and he is a player who can win with a bull rush. He has a long, broad jump. He's a pretty good athlete. He has some short area quickness and burst. He can get some good leverage on offensive linemen, which allows him to win. And while playing at the UFL level, he was getting a lot of pressures on the opposing quarterback. And you have to think that this is a corresponding roster move that the Niners are making after the Taron Jackson injury scare during training camp over the weekend when a stretcher had to come out and he had to be taken to Stanford Hospital by way of ambulance because of that injury scare. Now, right away, he had feeling in all of his extremities, and yesterday he was back at the Niners facility, but he could be out a little while. Taron Jackson is a player who was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, had some decent moments with Philly throughout training camp, hasn't really been able to make his imprint on the NFL as far as being a player on an active game day roster in regular season games, but he was a solid player for San Francisco throughout the spring, had a couple of moments in training camp, and without him, your depth at edge rusher and defensive end took a little bit of a hit. And so the Niners here adding Jaylon Allen, and San Francisco will see what he can do, a rising star at the UFL level. When he was coming out of Memphis, he earned a relative athletic score of 5.33 on a scale of 0 to 10. A big reason for that, he's a lighter defensive end. Throughout this offseason, the Niners have put a big emphasis on getting bigger, bulkier, and girthy along that defensive line. And so Allen is a player who's 6'2", 245, and that's very poor on the math bomb scale on the relative athletic score. But 26 reps of 225 on the bench press, that's pretty damn good. His vertical of 34 inches, it's average, but an excellent broad jump of more than 10 feet. That coincides with an excellent 20-yard split, which was also elite. That is the short area quickness and burst, the fast get-off at the line of scrimmage that's allowed him to make disruptive plays in the backfield. The 40-yard dash, not stellar by any means at 245 pounds, 4.84. But again, it's more of that short area quickness that he possesses. And at the UFL level, I know it's the UFL, he was looked at as one of the top defensive players in that league. And this past year playing for Memphis, 23 tackles, 1 TFL, 2 sacks, 21 quarterback pressures. So the sack numbers weren't great, but the quarterback pressure numbers were very good. He also brings a dog mentality to this Niners defense. There was a viral clip from his days playing for Memphis at the UFL level where a sideline reporter went up to him and he was like, "How'd you win?" He's like, "With the bull rush, man, with the bull rush, I'm getting to the quarterback." So he brings that type of swagger and that energy to the defensive side of the ball for San Francisco, and he gets another shot at the NFL level. After last year, he got a shot with the Denver Broncos as a UDFA, and that Broncos defense in 2024, one of the best defenses in the National Football League. So it was hard for him to make that team on a roster that was very deep. Topic number 2 of the show today, members of the 2025 Niners draft class are really taking advantage of their early opportunities so far in training camp. And included within that, a couple of UDFAs are maximizing their reps as well. First round pick Mykel Williams, 11th overall selection in April's 2025 NFL draft, has had a really good start to training camp, and he's been making a bunch of splash plays so far. Bulldozing Dominic Pooney, getting by Colt McKivitz for a would-be sack, setting the edge in the run game against Trent Williams, and stabilizing one of the best offensive tackles in the history of the NFL. Robert Saleh has used him in a way where he's dropped back into coverage. He's lined up at defensive end and defensive tackle. And what I said immediately when the Niners drafted him, his size, length, power, and physicality, they're going to be able to translate to the NFL level right away. And it looks as though that is translated. Does he need to get more refined as a pass rusher? For sure. But the foundation is there. And that's why he's been running with the ones. He's been shadowing and mirroring Nick Bosa in all of these drills. And I think the sky is really the limit for the Niners' first-round pick. Check out what Robert Saleh said about Mykel Williams yesterday. Even if it was a discussion with him starting, it doesn't take long. Just look at him, right? He's very powerful. He's got great hands. He's got great leverage. He has great flexibility to go inside and out. He's unique in that regard, which we knew, which is why we were so excited to go get him. But every day, he's just going to get better and prove that he belongs. Saleh added, he's going to be a hell of a player. And the fact that he's able to hold up and look the part against the likes of Trent Williams, one of the best offensive tackles in football still at his age, and Dominic Pooney, really good sign. And I'm excited to see the exotic ways that Robert Saleh can use him, because he's stood up as a pass rusher at defensive tackle. He's had his hand in the dirt at defensive end, and he's dropped back into coverage. And at Georgia, he was used in a very versatile manner. And it just seems as though the Niners have hit on the defensive lineman who they drafted. Mykel Williams, as I mentioned, but also C.J. West, fourth-round pick out of Indiana, and Alfred Collins, the second-round pick out of Texas. Check out these clips from training camp yesterday. Shout out Bonte Hill of NBC Sports Bay Area for this clip here. Look at the get-off and the strong hands of C.J. West, and then here is Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins, ladies and gentlemen, is 6'5", 330 pounds, and he's moving with nimble feet like that. Another look at C.J. West. Violent hands and a strong get-off. That's what allows him to win. And then for Alfred Collins, 6'5", 330 with light feet like that, that's what we saw on tape when he was at Texas. And so I tweeted this out. I'm confident in this Niners draft class here, and I got to give props to John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and the scouting department, because I do think the Niners have hit on each of the defensive linemen who they have drafted. For Mykel, he's had a really impressive start to training camp with some really good reps. The power rush against Dominic Pooney with ease. The would-be sack on a rep against Colt McKivitz. He slipped into the backfield to make disruptive plays time and time again. He's played DT and defensive end, and Robert Saleh has used him in very creative ways. And Trent Williams even compared him to DeForest Buckner. For C.J. West, popped yesterday in one-on-ones, violent hands and that quick get-off. And then Alfred Collins, during the second team period yesterday, got some run with the first-string defensive line. It was Mykel Williams, Kevin Givens, Alfred Collins, and Nick Bosa. Now, Alfred Collins is a little bit raw as a pass rusher, like Mykel Williams. There's some room for him to grow, but I do think these players bring something to the table that can allow them to make plays right from the jump and be contributors for this Niners defense in 2025. And then there's Upton Stout, the third-round pick cornerback out of Western Kentucky. He might be a little bit smaller. This is a pass breakup that he had yesterday on a pass intended from Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall. He gives San Francisco a feisty presence, plays with a swagger and an attitude that reminds you a lot of Diamador Lenore. And even though he is a little bit smaller, he made a play against the run in the backfield against Isaac Urendo yesterday. He had this pass breakup against Ricky Pearsall. Those are legitimate NFL players. Runs 4.4, was first among DBs in the gauntlet drill at the NFL Combine, and he was first among DBs in bench press reps at 225. Upton Stout could lock down that slot corner role. Running back Jordan James, 5th-round pick out of Oregon, runs with great contact balance. He's a great scheme fit for what Kyle Shanahan and running backs coach Bobby Turner want to do. The Niners have a great eye for running backs. And Jordan James is a player who never fumbled at Oregon. He can pass protect. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can pick up yards after contact. And last year without Christian McCaffrey, the Niners really missed that type of element of picking up yards after getting hit. Isaiah Nair, UDFA wide receiver, had a couple of more catches yesterday and had the highlight play of camp last week, the 50-yard deep ball from Mac Jones to him, where Nair was able to get past 3 defenders and make a diving, sprawling grab while on the run. 6'4", 220, runs a 4.4 flat, 40-yard dash, incredibly long arms where he looks and is in the build of a Randy Moss. And then another UDFA who I'm intrigued by, and I'm excited to see what he can do as the pads continue to stay on and once preseason comes around, is UDFA running back Corey Kiner, another player who has really great contact balance and is able to maintain his footing even when he gets upended via tackle attempts by defenders. Corey Kiner is a player who last year with Cincinnati was one of the most productive running backs in college football. He started his college career at LSU. A lot of pedigree there. And when he can lower his shoulder, he can bulldoze you and stay on his feet. The 49ers, after losing that Super Bowl to Kansas City in Super Bowl 58, had an older, expensive roster. They badly needed to reset the salary cap, get an injection of youth on their team, and hit on the 2024 draft and the 2025 draft. And it looks as though the Niners have done that. And I know it's early, but the early makings of this 2024 class, I like it. Ricky Pearsall has some juice. Dominic Pooney was one of the top guards in football last year. Jacob Cowing hurt his hamstring, had a great spring, though. Renardo Green started 7 games last year. He played very well within them. He's going to be a starting outside corner for the Niners this year. Malik Mustafa brings a thumper to the safety spot, and last year he really flashed. Isaac Arendo is 220 pounds. He runs a 4.3. And so far throughout training camp here, Alfred Collins, Mykel Williams, C.J. West, Upton Stout, they have maximized their opportunities, and it looks as though they can be players in putting together another really solid draft class for San Francisco. We're going to talk Christian McCaffrey coming up around the corner. Really impressive and promising videos of him surfacing from training camp. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Here on the show, I give you daily Niners news, updates, reactions, and analysis, so hit that subscribe button right now. We also have great deals for the faithful, like this Niners cutoff hoodie. It was $55, now on sale for just $33. Get yours prior to the season so that you can rep the Niners, but get yours while supplies last. They're flying off the shelves. Chatsports.com/49ers cutoff. That will take you to Fanatics, and Fanatics will know that we sent you. As for Christian McCaffrey, last year sucked for everybody involved, right? He was the 2023 Offensive Player of the Year, more than 2,000 all-purpose yards, but last year he was limited to 4 games because he had that bilateral Achilles tendonitis. And then once it looked as though he was starting to round into form against Buffalo, when he was off to a really good start in that game, he got upended, shoestring tackle, fell on his knee, and he was lost for the year. It was as disappointing of a year as Christian McCaffrey could have had, considering how great he was for San Francisco in 2022 and in 2023. But it looks like Christian McCaffrey is fully back. There was this video of him getting a simple carry from Brock Purdy, and you see the acceleration, the explosiveness, the speed, him being light on his feet, just exploding through the hole, little stutter step there. And then this video is so promising. This is Christian McCaffrey running a route, a stutter go against Chaz Surratt, who's a really good athlete, more of a special teamer, but in the pre-draft he ran a 4.59. When he was at North Carolina, Surratt started off as a quarterback, made the switch to linebacker. Christian McCaffrey sees here that he's beating Surratt, so he throws his hand up and makes a full extension grab. And there you see the great route running. You see the explosiveness. Once again, you see that long speed and the acceleration. This was the Christian McCaffrey that we saw in 2023. That catch is incredible. And then he's able to quickly pop up, point, first down, spin the football with a little bit of juice and swagger. And this is what you love to see from CMC. The stutter go, able to cook the linebacker on kind of what looked like a wheel route and show some breakaway speed on that route too. Christian McCaffrey looking fantastic here early in training camp, and he is so important and critical to the Niners' offensive success because he does so much in Kyle Shanahan's scheme. If you enjoyed today's show, give me a real one. I'll be back a little bit later for a training camp reaction video as we've been reacting to all training camp sessions for San Francisco so far throughout training camp.